Hey y'all, welcome to Freedom Makers. I'm Amanda and today I'm really excited to share a new canning recipe with you guys. I have made this canning recipe up. Yes, you can do that, but you need to understand the rules of canning first. You have to know what each ingredient in your list of what you're putting in your jar goes for in your canner. You need to know the time on that, the pressure, all that stuff before you get started so that you know how long your canning is going to last. You go with whatever is the longest amount of time. So in my recipe today, chicken is the item that goes for the longest amount of time. Today I'm canning a meal in a jar. This is something that we make on the stovetop very often. It's black beans, chicken, onions, and then we cook it with yellow rice. And it's really scrumptious. We eat this a couple times a month probably. It's really delicious. It's full of nutrition. And so today I've decided for the first time to pack this in a jar. The bottom half of my jar is the black beans. These have been soaked overnight. They've been drained and rinsed. The top part is chicken that I cubed up and parboiled. I cooked it just enough that the outside is cooked so that it doesn't stick to my jars. I find that when canning chicken, it's just easier to wash my jars later if I partially cook it before I put it in instead of raw packing. And then on the top I have like a handful of onions. So this is going to go for 90 minutes at 10 pounds of pressure. My ingredients don't go but to the shoulder here where it starts to go in. And that is because my beans will still expand a little bit. I'm about to pour hot water in this. I'm going to use a teaspoon of salt because that's typical for any quart. And we're going to get these canning. This is kind of my setup. I have already packed all of my jars. I'm just waiting on my hot water to boil on the stove, and my lids are starting to simmer so that I can get this packed into the canner. In my pot here though, I have some extra chicken and I had some extra beans. I've got the rest of my onion in here. I'm going to saute this here in a few minutes and put this meal together so that you guys can see what the finished product looks like. While my canner's heating up, I'm going to put that boiling water. This just came off the stove. It was boiling into my jars. Alright y'all, I forgot to put my salt in. Now I'm putting my boiling water that just came off the stove into my jars. I have a teaspoon of salt in these. And you want to leave these guys with an inch of headspace at the top. That's just to allow for some expansion. Canning meals in a jar is a great way to make sure you always have some food on hand that's ready to go. So I love this idea of meals in a jar for days that I am not home. If we have to go somewhere and come home and I don't want to make dinner. Or even a day that I am canning all day and don't want to spend my time making dinner and canning 3 times in a day, because that happens in the summertime. So by having something like this going on a day that I don't have vegetables to can, it will save me time and energy on those days that I am just worn out. Now I'm using some vinegar on a paper towel to wipe my rims. I make this a practice anytime I can anything. I always simmer my lids while I'm putting the water in my jars so that it's ready to go. And I always do them like at once. I know a lot of people that will do one jar start to finish, put the lid on, put it in the canner. I have never done that. I don't intend on starting now. This just feels more efficient to me. I do it like an assembly line. Everything gets done at the same time. My jar is going to be hot because of the boiling water. My canner is heating up, but it's not boiling inside yet. And so they're not going to crack because it's going to be around the same temperature. I'm screwing these lids on finger tight before I place them in my canner. These are going to be wonderful. You could add some seasoning to these if you wanted to. I never do. I always just wait until I'm going to cook them with the rice. And the rice has a lot of flavor too because we use yellow rice. But these are going to go for our 90 minutes. Alright friends, my beans and chicken have come out of the canner. The jars are still pretty warm. All of them have sealed. So you can see the onions in the top, the chicken is next, and the beans are at the bottom. Don't be alarmed if you try this as well, that everything is purple. That is fine. This is the mixture that I'm creating from fresh. I did throw some tomatoes in here because I had them in the fridge already, and some bay leaves. But other than that, it's exactly the same as what is in the jars. And I'm going to show you a piece of chicken here it is purple as well. So when you bite into this, it's white on the inside. See, the chicken is still white on the inside. It just stains the outside. It's not a big deal. We're used to that because we make this dish often. But if you haven't, you might be alarmed that you canned purple chicken. Now that my beans are cooked in my pot, we are going to add some yellow rice. This is something that we like to keep on hand. I buy it in bulk at Sam's Club. If you have regular rice or you like brown rice, you can throw that in here as well. We're just using the yellow because that is one that we enjoy and we have a lot of at the moment. So I'm going to be putting these 2 packs and some extra water in. I'm going to stir that in. Once the dish is finished, the rice will soak up all of this extra water. You need to just check and make sure that your rice has enough water in your pot. Add more if you need it. You can add chicken stock to this, beef stock, whatever. And when the rice is finished, we will be able to eat. Well guys, it's the end of the day. I want to show you our finished product here. This is our black beans, rice, and chicken. As you can see, when you cut into the chicken, it's white on the inside. So it does stain on the outside, but it is beautiful white meat on the inside. This is one of our favorite dishes. And I'm really excited to have some of this prep work done that is shelf stable. I'm really excited with how this has turned out. It looks like a mess, y'all. I understand that. But once you pair this with the rice and put some chicken broth in it and let that cook, it is a wonderful meal. This is a shelf stable jar that my family can have on our shelf in the pantry for a long time. We have kept meat up to 1.5 years. I do know that some people keep their meat up to 5 years. We just never have it around that long, so I haven't tried that personally. But when you're making your own recipe, you just want to go with whatever item takes the most time. So for us in this jar, it was the chicken that goes for 1.5 hours, 90 minutes for a quart. Now I only used about a pint size amount of chicken in my jar, but the jar itself is still a quart. So I went with that 90 minutes instead of the 75 that would have been appropriate for a pint of chicken. So that's how you decide what amount of time your jar should go for. Once you understand the basics and you're comfortable with canning meat, you can throw anything together and decide how long it goes, and it's safe for your family. So I hope this encourages you guys today to make some meals and put them in jars. It's really fun to come up with different combinations. I'd encourage you to think about what your family really enjoys eating and then see how you can do some prep work like this and have it in a jar. Next time, I won't have to go to the store and get chicken breast. I won't have to soak my beans overnight. I won't have to do any of that stuff. I just pop open this jar. The onions are even in it, so all the prep work is done. I did put tomatoes in what we're having tonight, but that's because I had a jar already open in the fridge. So you could do that or not. You could throw some salsa in this. It would be really good. You can do anything you want. And so that's one of the reasons I love canning, is because you can create whatever you desire and then have it on the shelf for your family. And if hard times hit and you can't afford chicken, or maybe you have an illness and can't get to the store, or you just don't feel like cooking one night, mamas, that happens, right? You will already have this ready to go. No prep work. Just throw it in your rice, throw in some broth. You're good to go, and your family has a hearty meal. So I'm going to sit down with my family now and enjoy my bowl of dinner here. I hope tonight you are enjoying something equally as delicious as we are, and I hope you have an awesome night with your family. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and being a part of my life. I appreciate each of you, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.